Sixth year sitting their exam in June 2026. Let's have a look at the Unit 3 chapter, the blood. I am going to focus on the three different types of vessels that you need to know, which are arteries, veins, and capillaries. So make sure that we know the structure of them is really adapted to carry out their function. Arteries are responsible for carrying blood away from the heart, capillaries are responsible for exchanging the likes of oxygen and nutrients, and veins are responsible for carrying blood towards the heart. So if we start off with arteries, arteries are under the greatest amount of pressure because they are carrying blood from the bottom chambers of the heart, called the ventricles, away from the heart. We have our pulmonary artery, which is going to carry blood to the lungs, and then we have the aorta, which is going to carry the blood all around the body. So arteries are under the greatest pressure of all of the three blood vessels. So how are they adapted in order to carry out their function? Well, the arteries, they're going to need to expand. So they're going to need to be elastic. So they have a very thick muscle wall and elastic wall, which enables them to expand and deal with the pressure that they are encountering due to pumping the blood greater distances. Now, because they have a thicker outer wall, it means the lumen is the hollow part of the valve, which is where the blood is going to flow through. The lumen is rather narrow, okay? So that's the arteries, thicker outer muscle wall, elastic, narrow lumen. And they are going to pump blood away from the heart. A for artery, A for away. Now, they're going to connect to capillaries. So the arteries divide into smaller vessels called arterioles. And then the arterioles connect to capillaries. Capillaries is where gas exchange is going to take place. Oxygen is going to go from the vessel into the blood. Carbon dioxide is going to go from the blood into the vessel. And other nutrients as well are going to be exchanged with the capillaries. Now, the capillaries are absolutely tiny. They are only one cell thick and they are permeable, which enables them to carry out their function. But because we have so many of the capillaries, they occupy a really large surface area, much larger than arteries. But we want the blood flow through the capillaries to be a lot slower so that that exchange of gases and nutrients can take place. So they are one cell thick, numerous. They have a very small lumen but occupy a large surface area. Okay, so that's our capillaries. Then our capillaries are going to connect to our next vessel, a vein, through a smaller vessel called a venule. So then we have our venule and our vein. Veins are going to carry blood back to the heart, so they're not under as much pressure as arteries, which means they have a much wider lumen and a much thinner muscle layer. And the muscle layer is made of smooth muscle. We know our three types of muscle: cardiac, skeletal, and smooth, which you would have done in skeleton and muscles chapter. Now, the veins do have a component called a valve, and that valve allows the blood to move in one direction only, so it prevents the backflow of blood. And veins are under less pressure, as I said, they're carrying blood back to the heart, so they don't need that thicker wall that the arteries had. So it goes arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins. And the veins of the heart are the vena cava and the pulmonary vein. And it is veins that have valves to prevent the backflow of blood. There are only two exceptions in your Leaving Cert Biology course. The only two arteries that have valves are going to be the base of the aorta and the base of the pulmonary artery, because we don't want the blood to flow back into the heart, and the valves that are present at the base of both of those, which you would have looked at in your heart dissection, are the semilunar valves. You also need to know your bicuspid valve with two flaps on the left hand side of your heart between the left atrium and left ventricle, and the tricuspid valve with three flaps between the right atrium and the right ventricle. But I will cover the heart in a lot more detail in another video. Save this for the blood chapter for Unit 3 for June 2026.